Hello, welcome back. And if you take a look at the screen here, you can see we have a cage ladder here. And we want to create a connection between the cage ladder and our main structure. So we'll be connecting the cage ladder to this bracing here, the horizontal beam the horizontal brace that runs at a 3 meter interval. So we have a 3 meter here, we have a 3 meter here, and we have a 3 meter here. So just take a keen look here. You can see we have a member that's penetrated through, which means it's clashing. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to fit it against this or fit it to this member. So how do I do that? I'll come to edit, then I'll come to cut, then under cut I'll be able to pick fitting. So I want to fit this member. No, that's the wrong procedure. First of all, let me take my XYZ plane to global position and I'll just click on that. Now, I'll come back to cut under edit, then pick on the fitting. So I want to fit this member to this and also fit this member to that surface. So I'll right click, and if you take a keen look also, you can see I've also located the positions of my bolts and also on the other side. Let me just click on that and turn it around. You can see the positions of my bolts. Creating a point for any location should not be a very big deal to worry you. So let me just pick my point of rotation and that. So I want to create a plate here that will be welded to this member, and that will aid in bolting this member to this. So let's create the plate there, and creating the plate will need some points to help us in creating the control plate. So I'll come to points here and pick on the point, and I'll snap on that spot there at the edge of that member, right click. So I want to bring this point. I can't just click on that, then try to guess the next point here. I'll be able to, now I want to just give you a trick on how to project this point to this location. So once I've selected on that point, or just don't select, just come to points and then pick projected point and press Control and just mouse over the edge of this particular member here and snap on that spot, and mouse over the next location and snap on that. Then pick the point that you want to project right there, and if you click on that, you'll be able to see we have our point on that location. So we want to create a contour plate using these 4 points: this point, that point, and the point behind this line here. So we can see it. So to see it, we just press Alt D to change our draw mode. So once you're there, you will be able to see this point, and that edge and that corner right there. So I'll come back to steel and pick on the plate, and I want to pick on this part or that point and come to that point and come to the bottom end here of this member, and I'll click on that member right there and move all the way to this location here. And if you take a look, if I press Control D to shift back to my previous draw mode, you can see we have the plate in place, but it is way thick, but again in the wrong location. So we'll change this to 10 millimeter or 8 millimeter. You can give it 8 millimeter, but we'll want to bring it front. And if you click on that, we'll be able to see it. It comes on the front, but still we have some collision here. This plate is clashing with this member. So we again go to a fitting tool under edit, then come to cut, then pick the fitting tool and fit this member to this member here. And again, you can also, after doing that, we can also go ahead and weld it. So before we weld it, we'll select that member, right click and come to special copy, because we want to copy it on the other end, and we want to create a mirror line between these 2 points here, and just click copy. So if we click copy and close that, and if you come to the end, we'll be able to see we have the plate. We don't have the plate on the other end because it seems we didn't select the part we intended to copy. So right click once again after selecting that, then come to mirror. So under mirror, since we had previously identified or created a mirror line, we have our mirror line in place. So I'll just go ahead and click run. So I'll close that, then go to that point. We'll be able to see we have our plate mirrored on the other end. Now we want to fit it to this plate. We come back, we come to cut under edit, then we pick fit this member to that member. and also we can go ahead and weld it. We come to steel to get the right tool, and we want to weld this to that, and we created a welding right there. And also we want to create a welding. And prior to that, let's first of all disable or undo the welding, because we want to create some points that will help us in creating the bolts. So let's first of all click on that, then right click and come to hide. So once I've hidden that, I'm going to edit, then pick on the points here. And from here, I want to locate the midpoint of this. So I'll pick the dividing points, then snap on the midpoint of that edge and the midpoint of that edge, and I have my bolts in place. So the same thing, I'll be able to just select on that point, right click and come to special copy, or you can mirror it on the other end, but this time around I want just to select the point, then copy it on the other direction by snapping on the midpoint of that edge right there. So if I click on that member and turn it around, you can be able to see I have my point here. You can see that. So let me now bolt this member. Let me now bolt this, or weld this to that, and we have our welding in place. And can go back and right click and show all to reveal the other member. I'll come to weld, and I want to weld this member to that member. So a welding has been created. Now I want to bolt this member to this member, to our cage ladder. So that tool that will help us in creating the bolts, will come to bolt here, pick up the bolt, then pick this member and that member. So once I've done so, right click and come to snap on that point, snap on that point, and maybe snap on the next on the relative location, relative point, and you'll create a bolt. But if you take a look at the screen here, is our XYZ direction is wrong. So what we want to we have to reorient our XYZ plane. So we'll come to view, then come to more options and pick on that. Then we want to place our XYZ plane right there. And then once we place that, we'll go back. Let me go back and do it once again. We'll place it right there, and we have XYZ plane in place. Now I'll come to steel and come to bolt and pick on the bolt, and I want to pick the parts that I want to bolt together. I'll pick that, and I'll snap on that spot and snap on the edge right there, and I'll have my bolts in place. So if I turn that around, I'll be able to see I have my bolts in place, and I can also select on that member, right click and mirror. So you only mirror after you've shifted to the global position. And prior to that, let me first of all create a bolt on this far end here, and that will take me back to taking this sit back to global position right there. So I'll come to bolts once again and pick the components I want to bolt together. I want to bolt this member to this. Then I'll right click and snap on that spot and snap on that spot. So I have my bolt in place. So if I select on that and turn it around, you'll be able to see I've created a bolt right there. So I want to mirror these bolts the other end. So I'll select that bolt and select that bolt, then right click and come to special copy, then I'll pick on mirror. So the moment I pick on mirror, my mirror line is still on the same place. So if I click run, I'll be able to mirror the bolts on the other end. If you take a look here, we have the bolts in place, and we have a bolt in place here. Let me just turn that around. So that's I've created a support for our cage ladder against our structure here. So let's meet then on the next presentation, or on the next series, or on the next part, where we'll now be populating this all the way up. Let's meet then.